Okay, so we're going to go through creating the walk cycle. Somebody wants to be famous and make some noise. Go ahead and do it now. Okay, so we need to pull up a reference first, I think. And if we go to the side view, we can go to view. We can go to image plane. I'm going to turn on my little cursor highlight tool because I think you guys like that. And then we are going to go to import image from the side view, which is looking down the x-axis, by the way. Over here in shared course files, we have this little reference image called walk cycle ref. And this was a screenshot pulled from Alan Becker's awesome work on how to do a walk cycle. First problem, though, is if you notice over here in our channel box layer editor that the rotation is set to 90, we're going to go negative 90 on this image plane to flip it around so it's facing the same direction as our guy. And then we're going to move it a bit here so that we can get this lined up and have it be roughly where we would want it in terms of scale. Okay, so let me go ahead and get out here, move this guy around until the legs are roughly where our legs are and are roughly the scale that we want it at. So that's the first pose. Now that we're there, let's go ahead and work with what we have. Now, in your rig setup, you should have left foot, right foot, and pelvis controller. We do not have toe controllers that are going to help us a whole lot given the way that they work, but they are in there for other purposes or just to demonstrate that you can, create discrete controllers. But our first left foot controller is going to be this back leg right here. So we're just going to move and rotate this. Now, you'll notice that we can't see the other leg, and that is because our image plane is actually cutting through our character. So we're going to back this away because in the orthographic view there's no vanishing, so it's not going to get smaller or something. But now we should be able to see both legs. So this first leg is there. Left foot is going to move back into roughly the position that needs to be in. Okay. But one of the things that we could do before we even start with this is actually work with the pelvis controller and talk about what is the position of the hips. You're going to have sort of an intermediate hip position, a lower hip position, intermediate, and then up. So that's going to look exactly like it sounds. So for the first pose on frame 1, we're going to actually drop the hips down to sort of an intermediate position like this and set a keyframe. We're also going to go back to left foot and set this keyframe here and go to the right foot and set a keyframe there. We'll go ahead and set a keyframe on the root controller as well, and we're using S as the key to set these keyframes. From there, what we can do is we can actually just get a hold of the pelvis controller here and then move over to frame 3, where we are going to create another keyframe on the translate Y in particular, and we're going to bring it into a down pose, right? So we want the pelvis controller to move in a downward position on translate Y, which you'll notice is a very small amount. So we're going to go ahead and use the viewport up here to help us with this. So the graph editor is just going to dock down here. But since this is the down pose, we're going to bump that, hit F, and you can see that that is now lower, right? So we can scrub back and forth and see that it's there. We want to come back up. So I'm going to Control C, move this out to frame 6, paste, and we're back in that position, that neutral position, which is here. And then we need to go to an up position at 9. And so I will, I can paste or set the keyframe there and then move way up like this. So you get sort of this. And what we're going to find here is that this is just going to repeat. Okay, so we're going to take these poses here, copy, Control C, go out to frame 12, paste them, and you get sort of this oscillation over time. Okay, and one of the things I neglected to do at 9, we want to go to frame 12, and at frame 12 we are coming back to this neutral pose here. So we'll paste it here, and then go ahead and take these guys here from here, copy, and then go out to frame 15 and paste. And you're going to see sort of this oscillating curve. Now, there are too many points of interest here, so I'm actually going to get rid of these intermediary steps, and this one happens to be at frame 6 and at frame 12. So now you get this sort of up and down hip position. So you've got the down and up pose. The passing is going to happen naturally with the curve. You're coming down again into the down pose. The passing, again, not necessary to have a keyframe on the Y translation there. The up, and then we're back to this passing pose. So the passing pose is really the first and last part, as well as it's going to hit on that amount. So now you have this hip motion that goes up and down like that. Okay, going back to frame 1, we need to go ahead and pose the right foot. And again, as long as each one of these poses is considered in terms of their motion, I'm doing it a bit out of order here because I probably would have started with a pelvic control first. I'm going to go ahead and move this right foot here, rotate it into position, which is roughly there. And again, that right foot controller is going to give us, that control. So if I move out, you can kind of scrub through and see that we have that, right? Now, notice that if I move that, there's a bit of a graphics anomaly there that sort of makes it obscured. So we're going to move forward. So in our down pose, we can either move the reference image or just look at it. Okay, so our downward pose, this foot is supposed to be there. So I'm going to move it again with that graphics anomaly in Maya where it's just sort of not showing us what we need. We're going to go here. Sort of shows us like not ghosting, but it's yeah. So that's what we should actually have. When we look at it, we get down to the down pose, and then we're back into a passing pose. This was a contact pose. I may have misspoken there. So you go contact, down, passing. Contact, down, and then now we're going into the passing pose, which is going to be at frame 6 here, right? And this is a 1 second walk cycle, meaning we're going to go all the way through the cycle in 1 second, which is a brisk walk, but anyway. Okay, so when we start with, again, that left foot over here, it's going to be at frame 6, kind of this leg there, right? So we're going to actually bring it up and through. I'm going to rotate a bit, not too far up. And it's okay if the toe clips through the ground for right now. Obviously, we'd want to fix that later just because this foot is kind of obnoxiously big. And then we're going to want to take the right foot controller and move it back to about there. So now we've got 6 frames. Again, looking at that Y, X, Y, and Z translation for each one of these guys. But let's just go ahead and watch it and see if it looks good. It does. Again, that foot clipping through the bottom plane is acceptable for now. Later on, we can do some things to try to alleviate some of that. You may not be able to eliminate all of it just given the size of the foot, but that's okay. And then we're going to the up pose, which is frame 9, meaning that here we're looking for this pose, okay? So again, you can move your reference over if you want to help you out. That's what it's there for. And since we're currently in the up pose, we would want to get that left foot controller and drive it way up like this, sort of neutral foot. And then that right foot controller is going to go way back like this, rotate it a bit, and you get this. And that's half the walk cycle. Okay, so we're going from 9 to 12, we're going back to contact. But contact is now the opposite, right? So it's the opposite leg on each side, right? So this right foot is going to go back over there into that pose, right? So if we look specifically at the right foot, we're looking for that right foot, which is in that position to go sort of neutral here to 12. Right, it's going to relax. So I'm going to move this back over so that I can see what that should look like from here. Get that right foot controller. Rotate it a bit. Move it up a bit until it's about where it belongs. Get the left foot controller. Rotate it a lot. Move it down sort of flat like this so it's in contact. In that contact position, right? And make sure we're on the right frame, which we are, right? So you're going to go to a stepping position there. And then at frame 15, we're just going to keep moving across So we're going to go back into our down position at frame 15, meaning we grab this guy, rotate, and move. We grab this guy. Make sure you're on the right controller, or the left controller in this case, actually. And I'm going to rotate down and move. We go to frame 18, and we're back into this passing pose here, which again is going to give us, let's go ahead and get our right foot controller, rotate this up a bit, maybe a lot, just to help us out a bit. And then the left foot controller is going to be moving back like that. And then we go from 18 to 21. We're in the up pose again. If you need your reference, you can just move it over like this. And so, again, we're going to get that left foot controller there. Move this back this way. And right foot controller now is going to be in this very up position, about like that. And go ahead and kind of curl the toe up. Little dorsiflexion there. And then what we can do is take all three of these guys and copy and paste their all their attributes, right? So if I take like this, this, and this, and go translate and rotate like this, translate and rotate, and then translate and rotate. I'm going to go ahead and copy those and paste them over here so that we get back into the same pose again. And we may have made some mistakes that we'll need to contend with, but if we watch this playthrough, yeah, we still have some work to do back there on the foot just because I made some interesting adjustments, but we can start with this and move forward. So that's the beginning of the walk cycle using some pose references. Again, let's go ahead and take a look at what it looks like from here. We can critique it. It has some problems that we definitely need to address, but overall we're getting the cycle part down, and that is the important part. Again, you can already see one of the issues there is the way in which that foot controller looks a bit inconsistent. Now, does it need to be perfectly symmetrical? No. But to start with, you want to start with something pretty vanilla, so then you can add some personality to it. That little toe flip there is out of place, but that's okay. Overall, this is effective for a start.